Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you how to make a set of bird feed baskets. Now here you see one of the baskets with this is the oak colorway, which you have the dark blue and the brown yarn, and this is a set of two. So you've got two baskets that you can make from the yarn that's in your kit. So this is the oak colorway. I've got it nicely stuffed with the yarn that you're going to use, but you of course also have the river colorway, in which there's a blue, a light and a dark blue that forms the basket. Now, whichever kit you have, the pattern is the same, so it doesn't matter. Let's just take a look at what you need to make these baskets. To make these baskets you need the following things. You of course need the pattern booklet, which you'll find in your kit. You'll need two of these bottoms to make the basket on top of, so this is the bottom of the basket. You'll of course also need your Scheepjes Mighty yarn. Depending on which kit you have, you'll always have the white and the dark blue yarn, but you'll have either the light blue or the oak color depending on which kit you have. So the blue is in the river kit and the oak is in the oak kit. So that's the yarn you need and all the supplies, and then of course you also need a hook. You need a 3.5mm E hook to work your basket. So this is not included in your kit. So but always do refer back to the pattern whenever you are unsure, because this is always the thing to work from, and the videos help you with that. So let's get started. For round one, I'm going to start with one of the bottoms, and then we're going to be working into these holes here, and in the process create a base from which we can crochet. So I'm going to zoom in, and then we're going to work into these holes. So here's the base plate. Now it doesn't matter which way you have them around. I'm going to have it this way around, and then with yarn on your hook, insert your hook into one of the holes, and I'm actually going to have to rotate it like this because otherwise I can't get my yarn, and then work a single crochet. Now in this same stitch work another single crochet. So again insert, and then I'm just going to show you like this, so you can grab it from the other side, you bring it forward, and you work that second single crochet in the same stitch. There we go. Now we're going to come to the next stitch, and in the next stitch work one single crochet. And this is actually, we're going to start a repeat now. You're going to work one single and then two in the same stitch, and then one and then two in the same stitch. So in this next stitch work one single crochet, and then come to the next and work two in there. And indeed this is perhaps the most cumbersome round, because this piece of wood doesn't exactly, it's not flexible, so yeah, gotta make it work. Oh, there we go, and then that's two, and then these stitches we're going to work in two in the next round, and continue this, well, basically all the way round. I'll show you the end of the round, but for now work in the next stitch one single, and then in the stitch after work two singles. You see, this is not, it's not easy in front of the camera either. So one, and here's the second one, and oh, there we go, two. So repeat this until you're, well, I'll see you back when you're here, when you've got one hole left. Almost all the way around. In the second last hole I just worked two single crochets, so there's one hole left, and this last hole gets one single crochet, so one single in there. Bring up that loop, work the last single, there we go, and now close on the first stitch, and that's the standing stitch, close on there with a slip stitch. There we go, and now you're ready to actually start crocheting. Round 2. The goal of this round is to get your stitch count correct, because at the end of this round we want to have 84 stitches, which is a multiple of 6, because this pattern works on a multiple of 6 stitches, and we just have 3 stitches too many, so we're going to be reducing them in this round. We're going to start with the chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Now what we're going to do is, in the first 2 stitches, those first 2, going to work a single crochet 2 together. So that means in this first stitch here, pick up a loop and come to the second stitch in there, and also pick up a loop and bring the 2 together. And there we go. We're now going to work a single crochet on the next 27 stitches, because we want to evenly distribute the position of those decreases. So on the next 27 stitches, just go around and work a single crochet on each of those. So this is 1, and then here this is number 2, and then this here will be number 3. And then continue until you've got 27. So I'm going to make a jump in a video. So work 27 singles. So I'm going to continue a little bit along the edge, and then I'll see you back. So I've just worked those first 27 singles. Now over the next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a single 2 together. So in the next stitch, pick up a loop, and then the stitch after, a loop. That didn't quite go right. There we go. And then yarn over and take them all off. What we just did, repeat this again. So 27 singles and then a single 2 together. Repeat that once more. I've just worked that repeat a second time. So again 27 singles and the single 2 together. And at this point you should have exactly 27 stitches left until you get here back to the beginning. And on all of these 27 stitches you work a single crochet on each of those. So 1 single on every stitch. This is, for example, this is already the first one. So work all of those stitches, 27 singles, and then I'll see you for the closing. So I'm all the way round. Here's the chain 1, then come to the stitch after, and there we're going to close with a slip stitch. And there we go. Count your stitches. You should have 84 stitches, so it's a multiple of 6. Double check that, and then you're ready for round 3. Round 3. This is a nice and easy round. You're going to be doing this round quite a few times. This round is a chain 1, and then work a single crochet on every stitch all the way round. Of course, starting here on the first stitch, so that's important that you don't accidentally miss your first stitch. That's the first single there, and then here's the second. And you're going to make 84 of these. So a single crochet on every stitch. There we go. And when you're all the way around, close on your first stitch. So it's that, you see there's the chain 1, that doesn't count. So then come to this single crochet here, your first stitch, and close on there with a slip stitch. So a single on every stitch all the way around. Round 4 to 7 that I've already worked here is a repetition of round 3. So round 3 was a single crochet on every stitch, and that you're going to repeat until you've done rounds, in total 7 rounds. So you need to do a few more. If you doubt how to count, remember that base row was row 1, and this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that might help you to count. So this is what your work looks like after round 7. And what you'll also notice is that your work will start to really form the basket. So in the beginning it's still flat, but at a certain point it really wants to cup inward, and then just fold it in like this. Leave your yarn tails on the inside. You can work those away at the end. So after round 7, your work looks like this, and for all your rounds you're going to have the right side facing, so the outside of the basket. And round 8, which we're going to start now, we'll actually work the pattern round. Round 8. Next round we're going to start here in the stitch where we finished. You see, here's the slip stitch, and then there's the little knot that I sometimes make when finish fastening off. So in this stitch where you have the join, start with the standing single crochet. So I've got the slip knot on my hook, and then work that single, kind of covering the slip knot and everything in there. That's the first stitch. Then in the next stitch we're going to be making the small drop stitch. So the small drop stitch, our next stitch is our reference point. So relative to our next working stitch, which would be this one here if you were to make a stitch into it, going to do the drop stitch. So a small drop stitch. So this is the next stitch. Then drop 1 row down and 1 row back. There. So 1 down, 1 back. Insert your hook. Grab your yarn from the back and bring this up to your working position. So you're going to really give this loop a little bit of room. Then your second leg of the drop stitch. Again, this is your reference point, the next stitch. Then drop 2 rows down, insert your hook. I'm just going to get my yarn tail out of the way. Grab your yarn from the back and pull it back up to your working height. Then this is your next stitch. So that's the reference point. Drop 1 row down, go 1 row forward. Insert your hook there, grab yarn and bring up the loop to your working height. And just organizing those loops. Got 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and take them all off. And there we go. That is a small drop stitch. We're now going to work a single crochet on the next 2 stitches, and what's really important here is that your next stitch kind of is hidden by this drop stitch we just made. So you're going to have to kind of pull it underneath there, because this here is your next stitch. So there, so that's 1 single, and the next one again 2 singles. Now in the next stitch we're going to make a large drop stitch. Now it's the same idea. The only difference is here where this one in the middle, this leg in the middle went down 2 rows. We're now going to come down 3 rows. But this first and last little stitch, they are the same. Let me show you. So next stitch is our reference point. Then come down 1 row and go 1 row back. Then in there, insert your hook and grab the loop. There we go. Your second loop, this is your next stitch. And now you go down 3 positions. So 1, 2, 3. Insert your hook, grab that loop and pull up. And really pull this up to your working height. Then this is your next stitch. Go down 1 row, go forward 1 stitch. insert your hook, grab your yarn, bring it up, and take all those loops off in one go. That was a large drop stitch. Now in the next stitch we work one single crochet here. So, and again you see how this kind of falls over the next stitch. So just pull this a little back, because there's your next stitch. And well, basically everything we just worked, that's the repeat. So you're going to repeat this all the way around. So I'm going to show you the repeat again. Right, the repeat is a single crochet, the small drop stitch, 2 singles, the large drop stitch, and a single. And because this first and this last one will of course be next to one another, there will always be 2 single crochets between either a long or a short drop stitch. And the large and small are alternating. So you're going to have a small one, a large one, a small one, large one. So I'll show you the repeats again. So a single crochet in the next stitch. And now we do a short drop stitch, the small one. So next stitch is the reference point. Go down 1 row, come back 1 stitch, insert your hook, and grab your yarn. The next stitch is the reference point. Come down 1, 2 rows, grab your yarn from the back, and pull it up. Then next stitch is the reference point. Go down 1 row, come forward 1 stitch, and pull all these loops up, yarn over, and take them all off. So this was again the short one, the small drop stitch. Push aside a little bit that drop stitch, because there is your next stitch to work a single in. 1 and 2. Now the next stitch gets a large drop stitch. So I'm going to do the long tail in the middle. So this is the next stitch. Come down 1 row, back 1 stitch, pick up that loop. This is the next stitch. Go 1, 2, 3 rows down, insert your hook, grab that loop, and you're really going to have to pull this up because this is a long one. Then next stitch, down 1 row, forward 1 stitch, grab that loop, and yarn over and take them all off. Then the next stitch, which you can again see is really hidden down there, so push that to the side and work your next single. And now I've worked the repeat twice with you. Now repeat this all the way around, so alternating long and short or small drop stitches. And when you're right here back at the beginning, you'll be doing 1 last single crochet. That'll be in here, because this is your slip stitch, so you don't work in there. This will be your last single crochet, and then come to your first stitch here, and there close with the slip stitch on that first stitch. And at the end of row 8, this is what your work looks like. You've got this edge here along the side, alternating long and short drop stitches, and then here is the join, so that last single crochet and then join on your first stitch. It looks a little messy maybe, but like I said, when it's large you won't even notice this. Now we're going to work a few rows of single crochets again. Rounds 9 to 12, I've already worked them here, of a repetition of round 3. So that basically means a single crochet in every stitch all the way round. If you just look at it, you can really see. So this was that round 8, and then that's 9, 10, 11, and 12. And here you can also see the join there. So work 4 more rounds of a single crochet on every stitch, and then you can also fasten off. Round 13, new color yarn on my hook, and we're going to start in the stitch after the join. So here's the join, so that's the slip stitch, that's the little knot. Here's the join, and come to the stitch after, and there we're going to start with a standing single crochet. There we go. We're now going to work the same basic pattern as we worked in round 8. The only difference is we're going to start with a long drop stitch and then a short one, as opposed to, so first the large then the small, and here we started first with the small and then the large. So I'm going to do it the other way around, that's the only difference. So that was the single crochet, this marks the start of the repeat. So now we're going to work a large drop stitch. So this is the reference stitch, then come down 1 row, go back 1 stitch, insert your hook, grab your yarn and draw up that loop. And then this is the next stitch, go 1, 2, 3 rows down, insert your hook, grab your yarn from the back and pull up that loop. Then this is the next stitch, so down 1 row, forward 1 stitch, draw up a loop, draw them all nicely up to your working height, yarn over and take them, there we go, all off. A single crochet in the next 2 stitches, so first just dig out that next stitch there. So this is 1 and 2. I'm now going to do the small drop stitch. So that means this is the next stitch, go 1 row down, 1 stitch back, and draw up a loop. Then next stitch, so 1, 2 rows down, insert your hook and draw up a loop, and then down 1 row, forward 1 stitch and draw up a loop, and then take off all 4 loops on your hook. And then in the next stitch a single crochet. There you go. And what you should see happening is that your large drop stitch aligns here with a short, the small one, and the small one aligns with the large one from several rows down. So this alignment here is important, because this is kind of the fun of the pattern. Now this was the repeat, so you're going to do this all the way around. Let me show you once more. I'll go a little bit faster maybe. So in the next stitch, single, then a large drop stitch, so 1 row down, 1 stitch back, then we drop 3 rows, so 1, 2, 3, and draw up that loop, and then 1 row down, 1 stitch forward, and just untwine my loops here. There we go, and take them all off. Pull a bit to the side to make again single, and another one. There we go. Now again a short small stitch, so that's the next stitch, down one row, back one stitch, down 2 rows, down one, forward one, and take them all off. On the next stitch, a single crochet. And now I've done the repeat with you twice. You can see how the patterns line up. Repeat this repeat all the way around, and your last stitch will actually fall here. Your last single crochet will fall here in the stitch with the join. So then just cover this slip stitch. That will be your last stitch, will be in there. So this is here you'll be making the drop stitch, and then in here you work your last single to kind of just cover that, and then close on your first stitch here with, if I can just get my hook in there, with this slip stitch there on your very first stitch. So go all the way around, and then you can work rows of single crochets again. And here you see the round complete. So that's the last single and the join in there. So all the way around you see this nice little pattern emerging. Now up for a few more rounds of single crochets. Rows 14 to 17 are 4 rows of a single crochet on every stitch. So it's a repetition of round 3. Here you can see the join, so a single crochet on every stitch all the way around, and when you get to the end of the row, on the very last row, join with the slip stitch and fasten off. So 3 more rows of single crochets. Round 18, new color yarn on my hook, and we're going to join in the same stitch as where we closed. So here's the slip stitch join, there's the slip stitch join. So in that same stitch, join with a standing single crochet, kind of covering that slip stitch in the process. There we go. Now for this round, simply work a single crochet in every stitch all the way round. So from here on, this is in essence a repetition of round 3. So work a single crochet in every stitch all the way around. When you get back to your last stitch, you're going to work your last single crochet in here, then close on your first stitch. So your last single crochet will be here, here. And this is the slip stitch, so you skip that and then come to your first stitch and close here, and then we can take it from there. Round 19, so I'm currently in the first stitch again of the previous round. Chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. And now this round we're going to be decreasing. Now over the first 2 stitches, work a single crochet 2 together. So in the current stitch, so this is where you already have the slip stitch, pick up a loop, and the next stitch, pick up a loop, and take them all off. That was your first decrease. Now going to start the repeat, which is 19 singles. So a single crochet on the next 19 stitches. 1, this is 2, continue until you have 19, 3, yes, and this is the last one, 19. So now here along this edge you have 19 singles. Over the next 2 stitches we work a decrease, so a single crochet 2 together. So in the next stitch pick up a loop, and the stitch after pick up a loop, and then take them all off. There we go. And this is the repeat. You're going to do this twice more, so 19 singles and then a single crochet 2 together. So do this 2 more times. When you've worked the repeat 2 more times, you should have, until the end here, 19 stitches left. And on these 19 stitches, you work a single crochet on each of them. After you've worked your last single crochet, so you're going to work 19 more singles, then close here on your first stitch, close on that stitch with a slip stitch. So here will be stitch number 19. You're not going to skip the slip stitch and the chain 1, and then close here on the slip on the first stitch with a slip stitch, and leave your yarn attached. Round 20, which I've already worked here, is a repetition of round 3. So work a single crochet in every stitch and close on your first stitch with a slip stitch. Round 21, which I've already worked here, is in essence a repetition of round 19. The only difference is the number of single crochets between the decrease. So you work a single crochet 2 together over the first 2 stitches, and then work 18 singles, and then work a decrease again. So it's the same as 2 rows down, where you worked 19 singles, but now you just work 18 singles between the decrease. So in essence, repeat round 19, but with 18 singles between your decrease. Rounds 22 and 23, which I've already worked here, is again a repetition of round 3. So work a single crochet on every stitch for 2 more rounds, and then when you're at the end of this round you can also fasten off, and at this point work away all your yarn tails that you have here on the inside. When you've worked away all your yarn tails, the last thing to do is just fold over the edge of the basket. So the top edge, just fold that over. Gonna look a little bit like this, and you can kind of determine how far you want to fold that over. So that's at your discretion. But so just fold that over, and then your first basket of the set is completed. After you've completed the first basket, you need to repeat the pattern exactly the same, but swap 2 of your colors. So this was the first basket, this here is the second, and the only difference between the 2, if you put them side by side, is the order of the colors. So work the pattern again, but swap your colors halfway through. And if you but actually if you like one color placement more over the other, you could even make 2 identical baskets, of course, also a possibility. So repeat the pattern for your second basket.